الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. In our previous class we have begun reading the chapter the author he mentioned rahimahullah ta'ala آداب يشترك فيها العالم والمتعلم, the etiquettes and the manners that the scholar and the student alike they share in, and the teacher and the student alike they share in. And he mentioned a number of affairs and a number of beneficial points. From the first of them is that the teacher as well as the student, they will strive to busy themselves with knowledge at all times. And even if something occurs in life, like a light sickness or some other events happen to them, they will not let these affairs detour them. Rather, they will continue to busy themselves as much as they can with seeking knowledge. Even, for example, if a person he had some type of light sickness and it prohibited him from his normal endeavors and striving in that manner, he will not leave seeking knowledge entirely. Rather, he will just lighten the affair according to his situation. Or if he becomes preoccupied and the likes like this with other obligations, he will still find a manner or a way or times or a means to continue benefiting with knowledge, whether he's reviewing or going over the knowledge in his mind or in his heart, or whether he's reflecting over issues that he had learned or studied and the likes like this, or whether he's listening. And no doubt in these days we have great opportunities with regards to these devices and the recorded lectures, that a person, even though he's busy with something, moving around or going about his day or driving his vehicle and the likes like this, at the same time he can be engaged in listening to beneficial lectures and great advice and direction, and even finishing books from the beginning to the end in this manner. And no doubt it's preferred, and what is best is to benefit directly from the scholars. But if not, likewise, after that from the audios of the people of knowledge, and to benefit from them. And the best way to do that is to sit down with the book in front of you and the free time that you have, and listen to the audio as if you're in class. But even if a person is busy or he has something that will prohibit him from doing that, he can still at least listen to it while he's doing his daily affairs. For example, maybe he's driving to work or driving home from work, or maybe he's a driver himself and the likes like this, or he has some type of chores or obligations to perform that doesn't require for him to focus his mind on the affair in great detail, and it's possible for him to listen to a lecture at the same time. Likewise for the woman as well. Maybe she has chores to take care of in her house. Maybe she has to feed her children, or cook the food, or prepare the food for her family. Or she has other obligations that she has to be busy doing. If she is sincere and diligent, she can also benefit from that time as well by listening to those beneficial audios by the scholars and the students of knowledge and the likes like this. And this is also a great benefit for the one who learns the Arabic language that we have in this day. Even if a person is not able to sit with the scholars, he can still benefit from them in live classes, and likewise from their recordings, and complete the books along with them, even at his own time. And this is a great benefit that we should take advantage of. And strive to learn the Arabic language, and to have the likes of these benefits. Or even if we do not know the Arabic language, there are also recorded classes as well to benefit from. And to follow a particular program and benefit from these recordings is very beneficial. So maybe a person, he will be busy or preoccupied with the affairs of life, but he will still be engaged in benefiting in one way or another in knowledge. We have seen before likewise that some of the students of knowledge, it's mentioned about them that they would memorize the mutun and those small texts at the stoplights. While he's driving down the road taking care of his business, whenever the people stop at the stoplight, he will pick up his text and he will memorize it and review it and go over it until after some time he had memorized the entire text. And in this manner, taking advantage of those brief moments, those few minutes at the stoplights, instead of neglecting them or wasting them. So likewise, this is some advice here. To be involved in this manner, to be concerned in this manner. And this is no doubt a favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whenever a person he becomes very interested in Al-Islam. Whenever he becomes very interested in Al-Islam and he's inspired by that and the rulings of Al-Islam and the manners and etiquettes of Al-Islam and the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the methodology of As-Salafy Salih, this becomes very interesting to him. And his heart, and he loves this affair, and he likes that a lot. This is a favor from Allah. He loves knowledge. He loves learning. Learning the Arabic language becomes interesting for him. And from the means to obtain this, no doubt, first and foremost, is to beg Allah and to ask Him, and to have this bounty, and to have this blessing, and likewise to read the texts and the evidences from the Quran and the Sunnah that clarify the virtue of knowledge and the virtue of the people of knowledge. And then in this manner, the raghbah will come in the heart, and the person he will desire to learn and to be from them, to learn and to be from them, and from the people of knowledge, and from the students of knowledge. So this is a great virtue and a great blessing, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the faith beloved to us. And this was from the supplication of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allahumma habbib ilayna al-iman wa zayyinhu fi qulubina wa karrih ilayna al-kufra wal-fusuq wal-isyan. Oh Allah, make the faith beloved to us and decorate our hearts with it. And the faith, and this is knowledge, and the foundation of that is knowledge and understanding. Knowledge and understanding. Likewise, he mentioned the issue of purchasing books, and this is what we were discussing in our previous class. The issue of purchasing books and the likes like this, and likewise borrowing them, and as well as copying them, and so on and so forth, and correcting them and making sure that they are correct. And this is the point that we had discussed. So we continue reading from where we left off. He says, وَأَنْ يَعْتَنِيَ بِتَحْصِيلِ الْكُتُبِ شِرَاءً وَاسْتِعَارَةً وَلْيَشْتَغِلْ بِنَسْخِهِ أو استنساخه إذا كان نفيسا وليعتني بتصحيحه ولا يرتضي الاستعارة مع إمكان تحصيله فإن استعاره لم يبطئ به لئلا يفوت الانتفاع به على صاحبه. So he says, now that it's incumbent likewise for the student as well as the teacher, for the teacher as well as the student, you need to obtain books, you need to purchase them, to obtain books by purchasing them or by borrowing them, and likewise to copy them or to have them copied for him, and the likes like this, if it's something that is precious, and we've seen the details of that. And likewise to be concerned as well with correcting them, making sure that the text is correct, and by checking them and verifying them, and we have seen some details with regards to that likewise. And he says, and likewise he should not be pleased or satisfied with borrowing the books whenever it's possible for him to purchase them himself. He would not be satisfied with borrowing the book from somebody else whenever it's possible for him to purchase it himself. So this is the best thing, first and foremost. And purchasing books is a type of ibadah. Purchasing books, the one who is sincere and purchases them to benefit from them, to obtain them and to benefit from them, and the likes like this is a type of ibadah, because this is from the means of seeking knowledge. And the people of knowledge, they say, al-wasail laha ahkam al-maqasid, that the means that lead to something, they have the same ruling as those affairs. وسائر الأمور كالمقاصد فاحكم بهذا الحكم للزوائد, as Imam As-Sa'di he mentioned in his manzuma للقواعد الفقهية, that the affairs in life, the means to achieve them, they take the same ruling as the outcome of that. So something that is an act of worship and praiseworthy and beneficial, the means that lead to that likewise is an act of worship and praiseworthy and beneficial. And just as a person, he has a reward for seeking knowledge, likewise all of the means he takes as well to seek knowledge, he has a reward for that, if he's sincere. So from that, purchasing pencils and paper and books and the likes like this, the instruments and the utensils that he needs to seek knowledge. So this likewise is considered ibadah. So all of the money that a student of knowledge he spends, that a teacher or a student of knowledge he spends, and the path of seeking knowledge, for utensils and the likes, or for journeys and trips, so on and so forth, all of this is considered an action of worship for him, that if he's sincere with regards to, he'll have a great reward for. He'll have a great reward for that. Purchasing pens and papers and the likes, or things for printing books, so on and so forth, and likewise purchasing books that he needs in order to benefit from them. All of this is considered an action of worship, that if a person he's sincere in that, he will have a reward for that. That money that he spends purchasing books, he will see that with him on his scale of good deeds on the day of judgment by the permission of Allah Azza wa Jal. So this is considered ibadah. So he would do that likewise for the sake of Allah. So he would do that likewise for the sake of Allah. But one must be cautious with regards to buying books, and that is to not buy them for showing off, or buying them just to have them and the likes like this. And the people of knowledge, they warn from this, and it's mentioned about at-takathur. At-takathur yakunu bil-kutubi kama yakunu bil-mal wad-dunya, yani وحطام الدنيا. At-takathur is whenever a person he's amassing wealth, just obtain wealth and hoard wealth, and obtain it to have it and to brag about it and the likes like this. And this is blameworthy. And this can occur with books. Likewise, a person, he just purchases them to have a big library, or he just purchases them to put them on the shelf because they look nice, or he purchases them to brag about them and the likes like this. So this is not praiseworthy. Rather, this is blameworthy. So he will not make it takathur bil kutubi, but he will purchase them though in order to benefit from them. And we have seen likewise the important point with regards to the books, and that is in order to benefit from them properly, a person, he has to first benefit from the people of knowledge and obtain the keys of knowledge from the people of knowledge directly, and the foundations and the fundamentals, and then after that, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, he will be qualified and he will have the tools he needs to benefit from the books. And if a person, he did not learn properly and he benefited only from the books without having a teacher, this could be a means for him to go astray. As we have seen, من اتخذ كتابه شيخه كان خطأه أكثر من صوابه. That the one who takes his book as his shaykh, meaning he learns from the book only, then his errors will be more than he is correct, and he will make more mistakes, and he will be wrong more than he is right and correct. So benefiting from the books, no doubt, is from the ways of the people of knowledge and from the students of knowledge and from the great means of becoming grounded in knowledge. But in order to benefit from them, a person first has to have the keys of knowledge. First has to have the keys and the foundations of knowledge. And the people of knowledge, they say with regards to this, إِذَا لَمْ تَكُنْ حَافِظًا وَاعِيًا فَجَمْعُكَ لِلْكُتْبِ لَا يَنْفَعُ. إذا لم تكن حافظا واعيا فجمعك للكتب لا ينفع. He said, the poet, he says that if you are not from those who memorize and understand properly, and from those who have studied previously and obtain the foundations of knowledge, then the fact that you gather and collect the books will not benefit you. So no doubt the books, they are beneficial, but in order to truly benefit from them, a person, he has to have a teacher. In order to become grounded and become firm in knowledge. And it's best to have more than one teacher, 2 teachers, 3 teachers, 4 teachers, especially with regards to different sciences and the likes like this. This is very beneficial and very important. The point is now that purchasing books is from the way of the people of knowledge, and it's an action of worship that a person, he will have a reward for. And it's been mentioned about the books that some people, they fall in love with the books. And this is the case with regards to the people of knowledge. They love the books. They love to read in the books. And they love to review and to go over the books. And they have this great desire in the heart, to research and to review. And this is a high level and high status in knowledge and in seeking knowledge. It's been narrated by Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi in Al-Jami' that he mentioned a narration from Az-Zubair ibn Abi Bakr. It's also mentioned about him as Zubair ibn al-Bakkar. That he said, قالت ابنة أختي لأهلها خالي خير رجل لأهله لا يتخذ ضرة عليها. That Zubair, this individual here, rahimahullah ta'ala, ibn al-Bakkar, he mentioned that the daughter of his sister said to her family that indeed our uncle, he's so nice and kind to his family. He doesn't take a second wife. With her. And so she's praising him. He's narrating this story. This is what he heard. And then at this time, his wife, she says to him, تقول المرأة والله هذه الكتب شد علي من 3 ذرائر. She says, commenting on this thought that this young woman had about her uncle. She says, I swear by Allah, these books that he has are more severe upon me than 3 co-wives. And meaning that he's so much more occupied, and he does not have time for another wife. He doesn't even have time for me. And as she's trying to complain. And so no doubt a student of knowledge or a person of knowledge, he has to preoccupy himself with knowledge, and we have seen that, but he will not neglect the rights of others as well, and we have seen that likewise. So everyone has a right, and he will fulfill the rights of his family. He will not neglect them in this manner, but sometimes women maybe become jealous, and maybe this was the case with this particular woman, that she was jealous of the books in this manner like this, but it's an indication of the love the people of knowledge they have for the books, they have for the books in this manner. That they have for the books in this manner. It's been narrated by Abdullah ibn Mubarak, likewise, rahimahullah, that he was asked about why he didn't sit down with the people after Isha and talk with them. And he said, ماذا أفعل بكم أنتم تكتبون الناس. He said, what I'm going to do with you guys after, and he sit down with you guys sit around backbiting the people. He said, I go and sit with the Prophet and the Sahaba and the Tabi'een. And meaning that he goes and reads he reads their biographies, and he sits and reads their books. And he died in the year 181. Rahimahullah, so he didn't meet any of them. But what he's referring to is that he will go, and instead of having comfort and sitting in the company of the people, he will go find comfort in sitting in the company of the books. And as the people of knowledge, as I said, Kitabu Khairul Jalis. Al-Kitabu Khairul Jalis. That the book is the best companion, is the best friend to sit with. And this is the case if the book is a good book and a proper book from the books of the people of the Sunnah. As for if the book was a book from the people of innovation, then no doubt this is not from those good companions. Just like a person of innovation is not from those good companions. With regards to the books, likewise, these are some stories that have been narrations that have been narrated from the Salaf to clarify that. It's been mentioned about Ishaq ibn Rahoya, rahimahullah. He died in the year 238. We have seen him before. He was the Shaykh of Bukhari, the one who suggested that some of the students collect a collection of the authentic narrations of the Prophet ﷺ. It's mentioned about him أنه تزوج أرملة, that it's mentioned about him that he married an old woman, an old widow, he's somebody who's older and she's a widow, and the likes like that. فقيل له ما حملك على هذا. So it was said to him, why did you marry this older woman like this? What was the reason or the benefit from this? This particular woman, she was married to another man, and she inherited the books of Imam Shafi. The woman, the story of the woman is that she inherited from her previous husband the books of Imam Shafi, rahimahullah ta'ala. So whenever he was asked about why he married this woman, he said, تُنْكَحُ الْمَرْأَةُ لِكُتُبِهَا. We all know the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, تُنْكَحُ الْمَرْأَةُ لِأَرْبَعٍ, that a woman, she's married for 4 things. And he mentioned her beauty and her lineage and her status and her deen. And we know the narration, but he's mentioning here, he says, تُنْكَحُ الْمَرْأَةُ لِكُتُبِهَا, that the woman, she's married for her books. And he like this. So because he's seen this opportunity to have the books of Imam Shafi, rahimahullah ta'ala, so he took advantage of that. And he married an older woman in this manner. So now he's mentioning now the author here, rahimahullah, the issue of these books, and we have seen some of the benefits with regards to that. He mentioned as well that he should borrow them, and he should not be pleased to borrow it if he should not be pleased to borrow the book if it's possible for him to purchase it. And if he borrowed the book, then he will not delay. He will not delay in returning it back to that person, because he will not want to cause the individual to not be able to benefit from his book. So if he borrowed the book, he will not delay in returning it, and he will not keep the book with him unnecessarily. So that would be in order to not be a means to prohibit the owner of the book from benefiting from his own book. He says, وَلَا يَكْسُرُ أَن تَحْصِلُ الْفَائِدَ مِنْهُ, and he will not be lazy with regards to benefiting from that book. He will not borrow the book and then not read it, for example. Somebody, maybe he will see a book, or he'll have some desire to read a book or to benefit from a book, and then he will go through the effort of borrowing it, and then he'll just leave it on the shelf or leave it in the car, and then he will not benefit from it. So he says, and also he will not be lazy. And if he borrowed the book, he will not be lazy with regards to benefiting from that book. وَلَا يَمْتَنِعْ مِنْ إِعَارَتِهِ غَيْرَهُ, and likewise he will not prohibit, or he will not stop from loaning it to others besides him. Wallahu a'lam, the people of knowledge have mentioned about this issue here. This is something that there's a difference of opinion with regards to, and Allah knows best. What is better is that He will not loan anything that is loaned to him without the permission of the owner. So he's saying here that the person who borrowed the book, he also will loan it to others who want to borrow it from him. But Allah knows best. He will not loan anything. They will not loan anything, not a book or anything else that was loaned to them, because they do not own it. They don't have that authority to loan it out. So they will only loan it to somebody else with the permission of the original owner, and Allah knows best. As for this, what is mentioned here, then this is from the position of some of the people of knowledge with regards to that. But many of the scholars have mentioned contrary. And Allah knows best. Again, what is proper is that a person, he will not loan anything, not a book or not anything else that was loaned to him without the permission of the owner. Without the permission of the owner. He mentioned the reason why, because this is helping upon knowledge, and likewise from the general benefit that has come about the virtue of loaning. So no doubt to loan something is virtuous and it is beneficial, but that's only for the one who has authority to loan. And the one who does not have complete authority over something, or he does not have complete ownership over something, he's not able or qualified to loan it. He's not able to qualify it, or he's not able or qualified to loan it. If somebody loans somebody something and then they ask for it back and they said, "Oh, I loaned it to so and so," and then this is going to be like, now I'm going to have to go to so-and-so, without my permission. So this is something, Wallahu a'lam, that the best opinion is that it should not be done. Then could even be worse, that person, he loaned it to so-and-so, and then to so-and-so, and then maybe it's gone and lost, and the likes like this. So a person, he will not loan something that is borrowed except with the permission of the owner. Wallahu a'lam. But no doubt to loan something is virtuous for those who have ownership. But with regards to books, this is something that's kind of difficult. And sometimes the people of knowledge, they disliked to loan the books because of what could happen from people not taking care of them properly, or not returning them, or losing them, or degrading them, and the likes like this. But it's something that's recommended in certain situations. Is something that could be recommended in certain situations. So it says, روي أن رجلا قال لأبي العتاهية أعلني كتابك قال إني أكره ذلك قال أما علمت أن المكارم موصولة بالمكاره فأعاره. So it's been narrated that a man, he came to Abu al-Atahiyah rahimahullah. He said, loan me your book. So he says, I don't like that. I would not like to do that. Inni akrahu dhalika. He said, loan me your book. He said, no, I don't like to loan my book to you or anybody else. So then he said, don't you know that the noble traits and conduct are coupled with hardships and difficulties? And if you want to reach the high level of nobility and honor and the high status of good manners and the likes like this, and generosity, then this is going to require for you to bear hardships and difficulties. So therefore, at this time, he loaned him the book. And some of the people of knowledge, they mentioned about this. They said, "Ala ya musta'iru al-kutbi da'ni, fa inna iyarati lil-kutbi arun, fa mahbubi min ad-dunya kitabun, fa hal absarta mahbuban yu'aru." So he said, "Oh, you who wants to borrow the books, leave me alone." He said, "Verily, if I loan the books, this is something blameworthy. And the most beloved thing to me in this life is the book. And have you ever seen somebody loaning something that they love?" And meaning he doesn't want to loan his book. And sometimes maybe this will be the case, and especially depending on the particular book. Maybe a person, he has a number of prints of one book. Maybe that's easy. Or maybe it's a book that's ready available. Maybe that's easy. Or maybe it's a book that's very dear to him. That's not easy. And if somebody asks to borrow that, maybe his soul might get tight. he might tighten up. And the likes like this. And the stinginess might come. But then he has right for that likewise, because this is something that many times cannot be replaced. Some books, it's not easy to replace them. Certain prints, maybe they're very old, and they have gone out of production, and the print, the particular print is not printed anymore. You can't purchase that print. Maybe the book is printed, but not by that print, and not by the one who verified it, and the likes like this. So that will be something that's lost, and it cannot be obtained again, and the likes like this. So some books they're like this, and some of the books, that were printed in the beginning of the printing press, whenever the books first began being printed. Some of the people of knowledge, rather some of the greatest scholars of our era, they're the ones who checked those particular works, and they verified them, and they did the tahqiq of those works. Some of the greatest scholars of our days. And although the print maybe is old and the letters, it might not be the best compared to what we have today, that will be the best print and the most reliable one and the most valuable one and the best one that a student will look for. And maybe it's not available or printed anymore like that. Maybe now it has been checked by somebody else and it has been reprinted from another printing press or printing company. It doesn't have that quality of that old print. So maybe when you look at the book, it looks very old, but the academic quality of that book, and likewise the great checking and the authenticity of that book, is something that is of high status and high quality. So maybe the likes of those books, it's hard to find them. It's not easy to find them. So this is something that a person he'll keep in mind. But if it's a benefit and if he feels like the person is reliable, he will loan. It's recommended to loan the book. It's recommended to loan him the book. He mentions here ويستحب شكر المعير لإحسانه وليحذر من الإبطاء بها عن أربابها. He said, and it's recommended for the person to show thanks to the one he borrowed it from. You need to thank him. And to say Barakallah Feek, Jazakallahu Khayran. You need to show thanks and appreciation for that. You need to realize that that's a great blessing and a virtue and favor that he had done for him by loaning him that book. So he will show thanks for that and show appreciation. As the Prophet ﷺ said, Man lam yashkur an-nas lam yashkurillah. That whoever does not show gratitude to the people and thanks to them, then he did not show thanks and gratitude to Allah Azza wa Jal. Likewise, he says he'll be cautious in delaying and returning the book back to its owners. He'll be cautious. He will avoid that. He will not take it lightly. Somebody loaned him a book, he will not just be negligent and just keep it in his house and keep it in his property or have his hands on it and the likes like this without any need. If he's not going to benefit from it or use it, he will give it back. He will give it back, and he will not delay and keep that book in his possession while there's no need for that. He says, قال الزهري he mentions, إياك وقلول الكتب يعني حبسها عن أصحابها. So Zuhri, he says, this mentioned that he's saying this to one of his students, Yunus ibn Yazid al-Ayli. He's mentioning this advice to one of his students, Yunus ibn Yazid al-Ayli, rahimahullah. He says, إياك وقلول الكتب. Al-Gulul, yani to capture them and to shackle them, to tie them up, to chain them up. Be cautious. Watch out from shackling up the books, and from tying up the books, or from locking up the books. He said, what does he mean by? He said, I mean by that, and by holding them unrightfully, keeping them away from their owners. And meaning that a person, he borrows the book, that he will not just hold it and keep on to it and just keep it in his property. And this is something that a student likewise he will keep in mind. وبسبب حبسها امتنع غير واحد من إعارتها وأنشدوا في ذلك أشياء كثيرة. And he says, and because of this, and because of people not giving the books back in due time or taking care of them and the likes like this, a person borrowing the book and keeping it indefinitely, or keeping it without need and the likes like this, harming the owner in that manner, then more than one person has prohibited from loaning books. They found that they will not loan books because of this reason. And a number of people of knowledge have mentioned lots of lines of poetry about the likes of this. We have read some of them. We have read some of them. So this is the case. But likewise, it's only recommended to loan the book to somebody who deserves that, and he's qualified and he's known to be trustworthy. As for somebody who is known for negligence and the likes like this, he will not loan him a book. And if he knows that he's negligent and possibly the book is going to be exposed to danger or he might not get it back and the likes like this. But if a person, he himself appears to be trustworthy, then he will loan the book to him. And if he finds that it's beneficial, and this is also with conditions. The first one is that the book is something that that person who wants to borrow it is qualified to read. And he's a new student. He wants to read a book that he's not qualified to read. He wants to borrow a book that's above and beyond his level. He will not loan him that book. He will not loan him that book. He's not going to loan him a book that is beyond the level of that student. And he will read this particular work and he's not qualified, and it would harm him. And he will not benefit from that in the manner that's proper. And the manner that's proper. So if he asks to borrow a book that he's qualified to read and to benefit from, then he will loan that to him, also with another condition that he himself will not be harmed in that, and that he does not need that book, or he's not in need of that particular book. So if it's a book that the person who wants to borrow it is not qualified to have, he will not loan it to him. And if it's a book that he himself is in need of, and if he were to loan it out, it would harm him in his studies and his research, then likewise he will not loan it. Or even if the person who's asking to borrow it he doesn't appear to be trustworthy and the likes like this, then likewise he will not loan it. And a person in general, he will not borrow the books. And as he mentioned here, it's better to purchase the books. So today purchasing books is a bit easier than maybe it was in the past. So if it's possible for him to purchase his own book, then he will do that. Or even if a person is not able to purchase the book, but he's able to get the PDF. So this is the next best thing. The PDF is the exact same thing as the book. It's a picture of the book. It's a picture of the book. So to have that is the same thing as having the book. And in the end, it's the exact same thing as having the book. It's just not the book itself. And sometimes it could be more beneficial, for example, for taking notes. Like, because you can make the PDF smaller. You can make the text smaller. And you can have more room to write. For example, like this. So the text is much smaller, and it gave me lots of room to write benefits on the side. And so if we had the original book, there's no way you could write the likes of these different benefits and notes on the side of the text, because it's so small. The hashia, or the on the side, the hamish and the likes like that is so small. But if you make the text smaller, then the sides, empty spaces are bigger. You have more room to take notes. So this is also a benefit as well. But no doubt, to have the book itself is a miza, and something that one he will strive to have, and to build a library in order again to benefit from it. In order again, they need to benefit from those books. Even sometimes, if a person is able to buy books, we wouldn't say that he will not purchase the book because he's not able to read it yet. But rather, if he has the opportunity, he will purchase it. Maybe a person, he's not able to, read Fath al-Bari yet, but he's desiring to. He has a strong desire. He's on the path of learning, and he hopes to study hadith and the likes like this, and he has money, and he has the opportunity. Then he will purchase the book and have it in his library. This is not blameworthy. So that we don't misunderstand the issue. For example, a student, he's learning the Arabic language right now. He's in level 1. But he has strong desire to learn, and he hopes to spend his life in learning, and he hopes that someday he's going to be able to read the books of hadith, and to read the explanations of hadith, and to research, and to benefit, and the likes like that. Then the fact that he purchases books, alhamdulillah, then to have them in his library, this is beneficial for him, and Allah knows best, especially if the opportunity comes, because sometimes maybe the book will be available at one time, and it will not be available at another time. Or maybe a person will have the money that's enough to purchase it on top of his needs, and then another time, whenever the book is available, he doesn't have the money. So this is the case, and the books are like this. Sometimes you may see in bookstores, a particular book, a number of prints, and then you may neglect that, and then whenever you realize how much you need that particular book, you go to look for it, and it's not available. And this has happened. So this is also something that a person will keep in mind. So to build a library, or to be to have the desire to do that, is beneficial. Yani with the intention to eventually be able to read them. With the intention to eventually be able to read them. I remember from the first books I ever had in Arabic was At-Tuhfa As-Saniyah from the Sharh of Al-Jurumiyya, and I used to dream about being able to read it, and I tried to read it. And also I had Madarij As-Salikin by Ibn Qayyim. Somehow I got my hands on these books in the Arabic. So these are books I had in Arabic, and I used to just look through them, and I knew a few words, and I just knew how virtuous these books were, and I really wanted to be able to read them. And I really hoped one day, and sometimes I would study, and then I would just look through these books, and I would daydream about someday reading these books, literally like this. But alhamdulillah, this right here carries you to be able to eventually learn how to read them. So this is something that's beneficial, purchasing books, but you have the intention to benefit from them. You have the intention to benefit from them. The author, he says now, khatima, the closing. He said, هذه النبذة من آداب المدرس والدارس أو المعلم والمتعلم مختصرة بالنسبة إلى ما جاء فيها وصنف في أبوابها، وقد أردت إحياء ما قاله الأئمة المتقدمون في هذا وتطرية ذكره لما فيه من الفوائد والحكم والنصائح التي هي نتيجة ما أوصى به السلف أيام استبحار العلوم ونضارتها في حضارة القرون الأولى، فليحرص المدرس والدارس عليها، وليحافظ العالم والمتعلم على التخلق بها والاحتداء بها، فثمرة العلم العمل وبالله الاستعانة وعليه المتكل. So he says in closing now that this is a number of summarized benefits from the manners of the teacher and the student, from the mudarris and the daris, or the muallim and the muta'allim. Both of them, they have the same translation, from the teacher and the student, and they're summarized with regards to that which has come and that which has been authored in this aspect or in this regard. And he mentioning that these benefits here that have been mentioned in this particular text, they're considered summarized and very brief compared to that which has been written in this issue and written in this topic. And we have seen in the first class in the introduction a number of books, entire books written about this issue, the issue of manners and etiquettes, the issues of the manners, and in general in Islam and the status of that. Books, entire books, volumes written about this affair. Books written with regards to the manners of the scholars, the manners of the students, the manners of the carriers of the Quran, the manners of the scholars of Hadith. Yani books all about these affairs, poems about these affairs, and the likes like this, the noble etiquettes and manners and methodology and ways of the righteous and the pious, those who are upon the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what is mentioned here is just referring again. This is just a summarized the fruit and the best of that summarized here. And he said, I intended by this summarization is to revive what the previous imams of the Sunnah have mentioned, and likewise to display or clarify the benefits and the wisdoms and the advices of that, from the result of that, or the fruit of that which as Salaf they had advised and ordered from the days whenever the sciences of Islam they were flourishing and they were strong and they were thriving in the civilization or the time of the first generations. And to clarify those narrations and the way of As-Salafy Salih and that which they were upon, and from this noble way of piety and righteousness and striving to learn and obtain knowledge and apply it. And now he mentions the great advice that he closes with, and he says فَلْيَحْرِصِ الْمُدَرِّسِ وَالدَّارِسَ عَلَيْهَا. So the teacher and the student should be diligent with regards to these manners, and these advices and these wisdoms that have preceded, and that which is mentioned in this book, and these benefits as well that have been summarized. The teacher and the student should be diligent with regards to them, and likewise the teacher and the student as well should strive hard to maintain these manners in application, and to abide by them, and to follow the guidance that has been mentioned here. And indeed the fruit of knowledge is application. The fruit of knowledge is application, and it is with Allah alone that we seek His help, and it is upon Him alone that we put our trust and our reliance. And in this manner, he has closed this particular work, rahimahullah ta'ala. So no doubt this is something that we should all keep in mind, that it's incumbent for us to, after benefiting and hearing the likes of these advices and these great narrations and what the Salaf they were upon from noble manners and conduct, and from showing preference to knowledge and seeking knowledge and teaching knowledge and seeking the pleasure of Allah and the home in the hereafter over this life, and likewise the great outcome that they had, and the great virtue that they have over the ummah, and the great status and rank that they have from that we should strive to benefit from that. After we have learned it, after we have reviewed it, after we have heard it, after we have studied it, now we should try our best to apply those manners and to abide by those manners, and to bring them into our life and application, and to be upon that guidance. Because indeed, as he mentions, the fruit of knowledge is application and action. The fruit of knowledge is application and action. It's been narrated from Ali radiallahu anhu that he says, العلم يهتف بالعمل فإذا استجاب وإلا ارتحل. That knowledge, it calls for application. Knowledge, it calls for application. And if the application responds, then any of that knowledge will remain and grow and be beneficial. And if not, then it will go away. So the as he mentions, the fruit of knowledge is application. And also the scholars, they mentioned that al-ilmu ka-shajara wal-amalu ka-thamara. Al-ilmu shajara wal-amalu thamara. That the knowledge is like a tree, and the fruit of that tree is the application. Is the conduct and the manner and the behavior. And whenever the knowledge is beneficial, it will show in the life of a person. He will feel it in his life. A person who will seek knowledge, if he's truthful and sincere, he will seek knowledge until he feels his life changing. He feels his life changing. He'll go through stages in his life, and he'll realize that life is getting better for him. He'll realize that my life is better now. That my life is better now. Like you'll feel the benefit in your life. You'll feel the sweetness in your life of the benefit of that knowledge, and then your life will change. And then if you continue this in this manner, maybe you'll wake up and reflect on some of the past, or something will happen, and you'll have contact with somebody from your past, or you'll remember something that will happen that will remind you of your past, and you'll look back and it's like a far off place or land, and it's something that you completely forgot about, as if it never occurred. And he used to be, for example, somebody used to be a non-Muslim. If he continues seeking knowledge, his life will change into the extent as if that's a life that had never occurred. It's like a dream in his life that never happened. Alhamdulillah, he's a Muslim now. There's no doubt about that. Or somebody used to be upon ignorance, or he used to be upon misguidance, or he used to be upon sins, he used to be tried with sins and the likes like that, and then he strived, and Allah gave him success, and he left that, and he turned away from that, and Allah turned his heart from that, and took it out of his heart, alhamdulillah, and then his life changes. But a person, maybe he'll look back and remember that, and it's beneficial to remember that. Likewise, so a person, he doesn't become arrogant, or he doesn't look down upon others and belittle others. كَذَلِكُمْ كُنْتُم مِّن قَبْلُ فَتَبَيَّنُوا. Allah, he mentioned the likes of that. And sometimes we look at people and we look down on them. But maybe we used to be like them or worse. Some of the youth, we see them come in the masjid, maybe they're in bad shape. Maybe they're in bad shape. Sometimes we see them, and then we may look, how could he come in the masjid like that, with that smell on him, or that odor on him, and the likes like that. But if a person were to reflect, maybe he used to do the same thing or worse. Maybe he came into a masjid before in his life one time, and he was worse than that young man, and had the Muslims treated him bad and told him, get out of here, what are you doing in the masjid smelling like that? What are you doing in the masjid? Like, don't you know better? Like this, maybe that person, he wouldn't get to where he's at today because of the bad manners and the likes like this. So to remember that. And if we see the likes of those affairs that people are tried with, things that we're not tried with now, but if we think maybe we're tried with worse than that, so now we have pity on them. Instead of belittling them and mocking them, or putting them down, or then becoming tried with self-amazement or arrogance and the likes like this, self-righteousness. And it's, remember, maybe we used to be worse than that, alhamdulillah, or even if in any case, Allah, he saved us from that. So to remember these affairs and to put the knowledge in application, this is how it will benefit a person. His life will change. So the knowledge has proceeded. It's not about having a lot of information, but it's about getting close to Allah. So the person who learns and his knowledge brings him close to Allah, and it means he becomes obedient, he becomes humble, he becomes submissive, he fulfills the obligations, he avoids the prohibitions, and like this, and he strives upon that way. This knowledge is very beneficial. As for other than that, then he's been deceived. So with that, alhamdulillah, we have completed the work, adab al-daris wal-madaris, the matters of the student and the teacher. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the knowledge that we have studied and learned and reviewed together a benefit for us and a light for us, and to make it easy for us to apply that which we have learned from the goodness, and to make us from those who listen to that which is good and apply that in the best manner, and to grant us good in this life and in the hereafter. And inshallah, after this, there's tomorrow and the next day and this week, there are some benefits likewise that I had come across in review and in research with regards to this particular work that we did not mention. So the next two classes we will discuss some of them. Some of these other benefits, we just read from a few books that we have. One of them, a book by Ibn Abi Hatim. It's called Al-Jarh wa Ta'dil. Ibn Abi Hatim, he died in 327. And he mentioned in the beginning of this book, it's called Taqdima. This is one of the examples of those books that have great and amazing introductions. And this book, one of the beautiful things about this book is its introduction. Its introduction called Taqdima. And in the Taqdima, he mentioned a number of affairs with regards to Jarh wa Ta'dil and the status of the scholars of Hadith and the Sahaba and the Tabi'in, Atba' Tabi'in. And then after that, he mentioned some brief biographies of the greatest scholars of Hadith, like Imam Malik, Sufyan al-Thawri, Shu'bah, Sufyan ibn Uyayna, Abu Zur'a al-Razi, and Abu Hatim al-Razi. And in here, he mentioned some chapters about his father, and his efforts in seeking knowledge, and the endeavors that he went through in that. And we will read some of that, inshaAllah. And there are a few other benefits likewise from some other works with regards to the teachers advising the students and directing them in the best manner that I wanted to mention as well, but it's kind of long, so we kind of just left that off in the classes, and I apologize in the first place for delaying and taking longer to complete the work. But alhamdulillah, the benefits that we found were inshallah worth being patient. May Allah accept from all of us. Barakallah fiqh. This one, Ibn Abdurrahman ibn Abi Hatim. Abdurrahman ibn Abi Hatim. Abdurrahman ibn Muhammad ibn Idris, and his Muhammad ibn Idris, that's his father's name. Muhammad ibn Idris. He has the same name as Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah. This particular book, if you see, it's not new. This is one of those books I'm kind of referring to. This book is very old. This is one of the first prints, rather it's the first print of this book. You can see this is printed in Hind. So this sign here and this information here, this is from the printing press in Hind. Previously, they had great printing presses and great scholars of Hadith who had much diligence with regards to printing books of Hadith and Jarh wa Ta'dil. And Jarh wa Ta'dil, you can't get them today. You can't. They don't have the same prints today. Abdurrahman al-Muallimi, he's the one who checked this one, and he also checked the likes of Tarikh Kabir and other books of Jarh wa Ta'dil, by Bukhari, and a number of works. But you cannot find the likes of these books printed today. The best thing you'll find that they have copied these books, like on a printing. They'll print it, like they'll copy this book and then they'll bind it, You can buy that. I have some books like that also. It's the print of Al-Muallimi, the old book, but it's not the actual print from the printing press. It's something that some people came later and printed the book themselves on new paper and then binded it themselves. And this was the next best thing, before the actual PDF, the digital version, and the likes like this. This particular book right here, I found it in a used bookstore in Riyadh. We used to go to Riyadh to go buy books. And in Riyadh, there's a makhraj on the highway, and on the highway there's a exit 15. Like this is how you know exit 15. You go to exit 15, you get off there in Riyadh, and because there's one main highway, it goes in a circle around the Riyadh like this. Exit 15, you get right there, it's a whole line of bookstores, used bookstores. If you go around the corner, there's other bookstores where you buy new books. But the thing that we would go there for is because there's used bookstores. So this is called Al-Kuttaab al-Musta'mal. So you go there and it's a bookstore full of old books, used books. Maybe some are new, some of are old. So if you dig through there, you can come up with treasures. So many books I found like this. Like books that you'll find them like, Allahu Akbar. Are you serious? You're looking around, make sure nobody sees you. Do I have the money? This book right here, when I first seen it in Riyadh, I used to go there to visit Sheikh Ali al-Haddadi. I seen this with my friend in the used bookstore. And we all seen, oh, Allahu Akbar. And then we're looking at it, we're gonna maybe fight over it, but then it was missing volume 7. So my friend backed away. I was like, volume 7, my man, just give it to me. I bought it anyways. It's missing volume 7. I seen the same book like this, exact the same print in the library of Sheikh Hamad al-Ansari, Sheikh Abdul Bari's house. So I knew this is the book. This is the print. You know what I mean? And then I was already aware of this issue, so I bought it anyways. The next year, I came back to Riyadh, and we're walking around, shopping around to the bookstores, the used bookstores. All the time when you go inside, on the corner, like laying on the floor, that's called nawaqis. Nawaqis, like, books that are just missing, like volume 7, for example, just laying over there from one book. Or maybe there's like books over there, volume 2 of this book, volume 20 of that book, volume 10 of this book. So I just happened to look over there, and volume 7 was right there. And I picked it up and I got it for almost nothing. The guy was like, you can have it. So alhamdulillah, I got this book like that. And this is a treasure for me. So, alhamdulillah. So this is the case with the books. And here's the biography of Sufyan al-Thawri. The biography. This one's kind of long. Of Awza'i, of Shu'bah. This is an introduction. Abdullah ibn Mubarak. So Ahmad ibn Hanbal. This is one of the greatest books of Jarh wa Ta'dil. So this was a benefit with regards to that. So no doubt to learn about the books is very important. Oh man, I don't know. You can come sit. You spend the night. That's better. I'll borrow you. You can stay the night. And read it. We'll read it together. Jazakallah khairan. Yes, so this book has a story. There's other books like that too that's similar. Allahu Akbar. That I found in the used bookstores. And the used bookstores. You can't buy them today. Allahu Akbar. Now, anybody have a question or comment? Correction? Now. Barakallah fiqh. I remember now. We should somebody who likes to memorize. We try to memorize those lines of poetry by Imam Shafi. علمي معي حيثما يممت ينفعني قلبي وعاء له لا بطن صندوقي إن كنت في البيت كان العلم فيه معي أو كنت في السوق كان العلم في سوقي. You got it? علمي معي أينما يممت. نعم. Almost. قال علمي معي حيثما يممت علمي معي حيثما يممت ينفعني قلبي وعاء له لا بطن صندوقي. علمي معي حيثما يممت من التيمم حيثما قصدت ذهبت. علمي معي حيثما يممت ينفعني قلبي وعاء له لا بطن صندوقي. إن كنت في البيت كان العلم فيه معي أو كنت في السوق كان العلم في السوق. حيثما يممت ينفعني قلبي وعاء لا أيوة. إن كنت في البيت كان العلم فيه معي كان العلم في السوق. نعم بارك. أحسنت جزاك الله خيرا. نعم. أحسنت أحسنت. اللهم بارك. Allahumma barik. Allahumma barik. Who else? Americans. Where's the American brothers? Where's Abdul Salam? Sheikh Jamal. نعم. I'll say it one more time. علمي معي حيثما يممت ينفعني قلبي وعاء له لا بطن صندوقي إن كنت في البيت كان العلم فيه معي أو كنت في السوق كان العلم في السوق. علمي معي حيثما يممت ينفعني. My knowledge is with me wherever I go, it benefits me. قلبي وعاء له لا بطن صندوقي. My heart contains it. It's not in the belly of a box. It's not in a box. It's not left away somewhere else. It's with me in my heart. إن كنت في البيت كان العلم فيه معي. If I'm in the house, then my knowledge is with me in the house. أو كنت في السوق كان العلم في السوق. Or if I'm in the market, then my knowledge is in the market. So what does he mean by that? What does he mean by that? The knowledge is what you memorize. This is the importance of memorizing. نعم. هذا وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.